I'm Michael Reel, and this is RealUrbanNews.com. I'm in the heart of downtown Los Angeles. This is the Disney Concert Hall directly behind me. It is here that I sit down exclusively and speak with Councilwoman Jan Perry. Jan Perry is running for mayor of the city of Los Angeles. It's a historic campaign, a challenging campaign, and one that Jan Perry speaks exclusively with Real Urban News about. Los Angeles City Councilwoman Jan Perry, thank you for being with RealUrbanNews.com.
Thank you.
You have a lot going on in this political season.
Yes.
You're balancing, continuing your work as City Councilwoman.
That's right.
In the 9th District here in Los Angeles, and you're also running for mayor.
That's right.
Talk about both of those.
Well, I'm still doing my day job, and that's important because there's a lot of work that still has to be finished. But as I look forward to the future, I continue to do outreach across the city and talk to people about the issues that are of concern to them, listen to what they have to say. It's been a very fascinating experience to move further away from my original epicenter, and one thing that strikes me is the similarities in people's concerns and their complaints.
What are some of the concerns of the citizens?
Well, generally speaking, people are very concerned about water and power rates and how their money is being spent. They're always concerned about allocation of resources. They're concerned that the city needs to right its ship in order to be able to offer city services in the future, now and in the future. You know, they want their streets swept, they want their potholes filled, they want their streets paved, they want their children to be able to go to and from school and be safe, and they want jobs. And that's the number one thing. Across the city, people want to see more jobs coming into the city.
You have some experience. Talk about your career dating back to 2001 and how you get into public life and public service. Well,
you know, it goes before that. I think my parents were my earliest role models.
Sure.
In public service. They took us everywhere. My father was elected mayor in the 1960s where I grew up in Ohio. Then my mother got elected some years later as mayor, so I had two mayors in the family. I just left my mother this weekend and I was smiling because she has her Mayor Betty Perry sign up on her bookshelf. You know, so we had a good laugh about that. But they taught us about helping people, solving problems, you know, rebuilding a community, and you know, I never realized what those lessons meant to me until I actually went into public service and I realized what an influence my parents had on me.
So that was almost being in graduate school to be a public servant.
Well, it was, because, you know, we would sit around the dinner table and talk about, you know, the development of sewer systems, on how to get a street paved, you know, how to run a police department, you know, how to satisfy neighborhood conflicts and neighbors not getting along with each other, all the things that are the building blocks to building a community.
Then you were elected in 2001 here in Los Angeles.
That's correct. I've been here since 1974. I came here to attend the University of Southern California, and I've never left, and I've always been involved in some form or fashion in community efforts and community activities. I ran for office, and it was interesting because I ran against all odds and you know, won by a 14% margin. It always amuses me because people, for whatever reason, I have no idea why, but they underestimate what I'm capable of doing. And I usually do more than what people assume I'm going to do, and in this case, I'm sure that I will do that again.
So you're optimistic?
I'm extremely optimistic and well received.
You have a considerable track record here in Los Angeles. You represent the 9th District, and downtown looks wonderful.
Well, I'd like to say, you know, downtown and Little Tokyo and Skid Row and all parts of downtown and South LA, what downtown has done for this city, it has improved the bottom line for the future of the city. Downtown has brought in net new revenue to the general fund so that we can continue to function. So my contribution to the general fund has been significant. But in addition to that, I've been able to bring in 90,000 new jobs over the last 11 years to the city that didn't exist before. And what's really incredible is the impact that downtown has had on surrounding communities. I'm finally able to restore the Dunbar Hotel.
Sure. Wow.
2 new grocery stores on Central Avenue, lots of new housing, about 5,000 new units of housing, mixed income, family, homeless, grandparents raising their grandchildren, all kinds of housing that didn't exist before because of the work and the revenue and the tax increment that I generated downtown.
So it's spawned and spread beyond, even beyond your own district.
Oh, absolutely. Downtown is the economic engine for this region.
Okay.
So if downtown continues to thrive, the region will thrive.
You're facing 2 challengers who are city or public service employees, or public employees, elected officials. How challenging is it?
I think that in a political campaign, you have to go back to the basics. You have to talk to the voters. You have to listen to the voters, hear what they have to say, and then reflect back your actions based on who you are, and you have to define yourself so the voters understand who you are and that you have a connection with them. That's what I've been doing, and going into people's homes and talking to them wherever they want to be met and exchanging ideas.
Who do you tell the voters that you are? Who is Jan Perry?
I tell them that Jan Perry is a relentless fighter. I am a good listener. I am a builder. I build solutions to people's problems, to people's issues. I respond. I'm not only a builder, I'm a legislator, someone who has responded with tangible solutions that you can see, you can feel, you can touch, but also legislative solutions to people's problems. And that I'm fierce because of my own life experience on the budget, and I'm willing to take difficult and uncomfortable steps to ensure our long-term survival.
How important is it that you have that policy experience?
I think it's important to have a mix of everything, and I think that's where I pull ahead in the pack, because I have a great portfolio of things to point to where I've actually put people back to work, and you can go and see them and you can talk to them and trace my efforts directly to that end result. As far as being a legislator, my legislation has been based on practical experience, and where I see a need. When we had homeless people dumped on Skid Row, I drafted the anti-dumping ordinance for the city of Los Angeles so we could get that practice to stop. So I'd say what distinguishes me is I'm very squarely grounded in reality and moving our city forward.
Los Angeles is a diverse community. It's a diverse city. You're an African American woman. Are you up for the challenge of representing all of these people? You do it now, but in the capacity of mayor.
Well, I think this is what I'd like to share with people so that they understand who I am. Yes, I am an African American woman. I'm a woman who grew up in this country. I am also an African American woman who chose to become a Jewish woman too. So I'm an African American and I'm a Jewish woman who chose to become Jewish. I'm an African American Jewish woman who also speaks Spanish. I've been speaking Spanish since I was 15 years old. So the only other thing I could add is, let's see, I have a godson who has 2 fathers. Okay,
we'll move on.
I think we covered all the food groups there.
We'll move on from that. What's your future? What's your hope for this city we live in?
You know what I hope? Well, first I hope I'm elected mayor, because I can participate in moving the city forward, and that everybody's child has a chance to have a decent education. And I want to be very involved with the school district and with private organizations to make sure that parents have lots of choices on how their children are to be educated. I want to work very hard with LAUSD in the middle school portion of a child's education, because I think that's where the numbers again begin to drop off and roll backwards, because I think they have made a lot of progress in kindergarten through the 5th grade in API scores and other benchmarks. And to be able to have enough housing, so people have choices on where they want to live, and to make sure we build out our light rail transportation system so that people don't have to rely on a car 100% of the time. And even if we as adults or older people, if you will, aren't willing to get out of our cars, we're at least building a city for, you know, I have a daughter who's 21, so we're building for that generation who may not want to buy a car, cannot afford to buy a car, so that we can help people improve their own bottom line by building the infrastructure for them to really avail themselves of all of the opportunities that the city has to offer.
2 more questions and we're done. Women in politics are at the forefront, not only in this city, but nationally and internationally. What's your thought on women in politics and this wave that we're seeing all across the country and across the globe of women really taking the leadership helm of countries and nations around the globe?
I think that women, because of the way we are socialized, we're very much more accustomed to multitasking and solving complex problems at the same time. And it's not to say that women aren't competitive, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with a woman who is willing to fight for beliefs or principles, her beliefs or principles. Actually, I mean, I perceive myself to be that way. You know, a lot of times people in politics will say, well, that woman's not nice or whatever. And I'm not sure how important nice is if at the end of the day, if you're representing an interest or a community and your back's up against the wall, you're not willing to come out fighting. Fight with your intelligence, fight with your experience, fight with your ability to build consensus. But you must always be willing to fight and to not stop till the job is done.
You've had a rich career. What's your legacy?
I think, well, I hope it's not over. My God, it sounds like I died. You know, I wanted to change people's perception of their communities. 2 things that I've done in South Los Angeles. I built a wetlands in an existing park at Slauson and Compton. Now, those kids have herons, egrets, Canadian geese landing there at Slauson and Compton in the wetlands. I liked it so much, I just finished a 10-acre wetlands at 54th and Avalon. It's next to a high school, around the corner from a middle school. And again, once it grows in, and they tend to grow in, we're in a drought right now, but once it grows in and the water level is higher and the plants grow, it will look in probably 2 years like it's been there forever. It will be an outdoor classroom, a place to exercise, a place for community to gather, and you know, it has my hands all over it. And those are 2 things that I'm really, really proud of. And all of the housing, we're about to open up this project, Grandparents Raising Their Grandchildren, right next door to Challenger's Boys and Girls Club on Vermont. It'll be the first of its kind in the city of Los Angeles. I'm really proud of that. I mean, in any category, you know, to have finished the first 8.6 miles of the Exposition line, and then to hear young people say, I can buy a house on Exposition and fix it up, and then I can get rid of my car.
Right.
You can put that into a house note. Those are the kinds of things that I believe are my legacy.
Jan Perry, City Councilwoman for the City of Los Angeles and running for mayor for the City of Los Angeles.
Yep.
Against all odds. Thank you for being with
Thank you. Thank you.
BillerNews.com.
Thank you.